What's going on, everybody? It is a little early for a preview, prediction, whatever you want to call this, for this Sunday night's WWE TLC pay-per-view taking place at the American Airlines Center in Dallas, Texas. Now, this is going to be a SmackDown brand exclusive show and will air on the WWE Network. And for those who cannot get Wi-Fi, yeah, you can't get Wi-Fi, so you got to order that bitch up on pay-per-view. Now, this is going to be the final SmackDown pay-per-view of the year for WB, and on paper, this looks pretty good. Now, I know it's early that I'm putting this out. However, you got 6 matches pretty much announced. You may get a 7th, and then you'll get some pre-show matches, but those, in all reality, don't mean anything. So basically, what I'm talking about today is basically what's going to be the final card for this pay-per-view. And as I said earlier, it looks pretty good on paper. Working our way from the bottom to the top, the SmackDown Live Tag Team titles are kind of up in the air because American Alpha wrestled a bunch of tag teams that I could name, but they're all jobbers, so it doesn't really mean anything. However, on Tuesday's episode, we are going to find out if Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt can defeat American Alpha. And if you really look at it from a booking standpoint, it really doesn't make sense for American Alpha to get a tag team title shot this early, and especially going up against babyface champions. And with them pushing Bray Wyatt heavily, and of course Randy Orton is the top superstar on SmackDown Live, it just makes sense that they go over. So I expect Rhino and Slater, as I made an editing in my post, Rhino and Slater to defend the titles against Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt, just because you have a babyface heel dynamic. And if you look up and down this card, that is exactly what it is. It is babyface versus heel. There are no heel versus heel or faces versus faces matches on this card, so it just makes more sense. I actually see Orton and Wyatt going over in this match. Rhino and Slater, they had their reign, they had a good run, yada, 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 but just the way that WWE is pushing this, I just don't see them having Rhino and Slater go over on Orton and Wyatt. So I see new tag team champions being crowned. As we work our way back up to the card, it'll be a chairs match between Kalisto and Baron Corbin. Now, of course, Corbin cost Kalisto his Cruiserweight Championship match with Brian Kendrick a couple weeks ago at Survivor Series, and ever since then, Kalisto and Corbin have been feuding. And if you really look at it from the grand scheme of things, these two have been feuding for quite some time now, and I'm kind of over it. I see this being a blow-off match. Yes, it's a gimmick match, but usually when you put a stipulation to a match to end a feud, that's kind of where this dynamic leads. I just don't see Kalisto going anywhere on SmackDown Live. There's no Cruiserweight title. I don't see him being an Intercontinental Champion as well. They're kind of pushing, but not pushing Corbin. I don't know what they're doing necessarily, but I see Corbin going over in this match. Up next is a no DQ match between the Nikki Bella and Carmella. They've been pushing Carmella heavily. I expect them to do so this week on SmackDown Live, and I see Bella going over in a match that really no one cares about. Up next should be a classic. It's going to be an Intercontinental Championship ladder match between champion The Miz versus Dolph Ziggler. Now, this is going to be the blow-off of their feud, yada, yada, yada. Now, if you look on the SmackDown Live brand, they don't have a lot of baby faces. So it's going to be very interesting to see where The Miz goes from here. But however, since he did just beat Dolph Ziggler a couple weeks ago on SmackDown to regain his Intercontinental Championship, I just don't see them putting the belt back up on Ziggler. It's definitely a possibility, but I just can't pick it, so I got Miz over Ziggler, and it'll be interesting to see where they go from there. Up next is a SmackDown Live Women's Championship match between the Becky Lynch and Alexa Bliss. Now, this has been a top feud. They've had decent matches, nothing great, nothing to go home about. But I expect them to pull out what they can in this match. They've been pushing Bliss very, very hard, and as much as I'd like to see them have her go over, there's too many heels that Lynch could work with as a face, and not enough baby faces for Bliss to work with now. I guess you could have Bliss and Bella be the next feud. But for whatever reason, I just see Lynch going over in this. She's been getting put down over and over. Usually when that happens, they get the victory in the blow-off match, which this will be. Hopefully they can pull out a good match. And in the main event, it's going to be a WB title TLC match between AJ Styles and Dean Ambrose. And I'm going to assume, just because of the storyline that's currently going on with Mr. James Ellsworth, who is the most over guy on the SmackDown Live brand. Gotta love that kid. He's going to get involved in this match somehow, some way. He is going to be in there. You can bet your bottom line. Now, we have seen AJ Styles versus Dean Ambrose at least 10 times this year, and while they have great matches, there's nothing else that they can pull out of this. Thus, the reason that they put a TLC stipulation on this match, and of course, because it is the pay-per-view title, so they got to go with the TLC. Anyway, AJ Styles, I just don't see them putting the belt on Ambrose. It doesn't make sense from a lot of ways. Styles has just been building and building and building, and he hasn't even hit his peak yet. He's the most talented guy on the SmackDown Live roster. He's the best heel on the roster. I love him as a champion. I love him in this role. I see Styles going over on Ambrose. Now, this is where it's going to lead up weird. Who do you put next with Styles? And I really do think that John Cena, who is returning in December, will feud with Styles at the Royal Rumble, as well as the pay-per-view in February. And then there are some rumors that Styles could face The Undertaker at WrestleMania. But let's be real, that's probably not going to happen. Even though I'd love to see it happen, I think a lot of other people would. I don't know if it will or not. It's just rumors right now. Until we get some factual evidence behind it or a clear-cut report, then I'll put more stock into it. Anyway, y'all, that's my take on the WWE TLC pay-per-view. It takes place this Sunday night on the WWE Network. Wrestle News Co. and eWrestlingNews.com will be covering you with the latest coverage possible. Take care.